Alright, part 3, I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. Should only be like half an hour. Okay, so if you haven't killed the boss here, I'm actually not gonna force you to do that right now. We can actually go to the... Oh, you've gotta be joking. You can't leave? What the heck? Oh, perfect, yeah, I can activate the flask to make it better. But I'm actually going to get another important part of our build. Since it's, or I would say it's a little easier. It's up to your interpretation. But since we have our, what's it called? Since we have our stone sword keys, we should be able to just hop on through this cave. In order to get a very important part of our build, a spell known as Terra Magica, which will boost our magic damage by 35%. And we also get a free rune arc in here, so I can use that. Make things easier. This is also a great spot to equip your torch. So, keep that in mind. I kind of know my way around here though, so... Yep. And there's gonna be some mages in here, so... Huh. You know, yeah, you probably don't even need to. Yeah, you probably don't need to pop anything. Better to save it for the boss, but the boss is a kind of complicated boss. It's not particularly difficult. I mean, it is difficult, but it's more complicated than difficult. You'll understand why. So you want to open this door, and then you want to kill the enemies in here. So first off, you kill off that guy. And then I'd recommend you pop your cerulean to your flask. Although this first time you might be running a little low on your cerulean tears. Feel free to ignore that guy. And then, yeah, most likely you probably will die this first time, so I wouldn't recommend using your rune arc just yet. And for this boss fight, you could use a blunt melee weapon, if you have one. But obviously, you don't really need it, and I don't like using it. What we can actually use is equip the Gavel of Haima, which is its own blunt weapon. It doesn't actually deal much damage because magic damage doesn't really affect the enemies, but what it can do is it'll pretty much, I don't know how you call it, just break the enemy. So there's that, and... Right here we have the heavy load, but that'll change soon since we're going to use our rune arc. Now we have that added endurance to boost our load limit, and then just run through. I mean, make sure obviously you know what you're doing before you decide to use a rune arc, but obviously what I'm doing is pretty safe. Either way. You gotta use that ability to increase your magic damage. Like the shield, when you activate it and it's red, that'll be what boosts your magic damage by 20%. All right. If you can, just run past those guys, because you want as much magic as you can. But obviously, you should have plenty of magic anyway. Here, you could run past. That guy over there actually gives you a blunt weapon if you can put in the patience to kill him enough times. You just want to be swerving. Summon the jellyfish. Or the dogs. It's up to you. And then you're going to want to deal with him when he does that charge up attack. Avoid him because that can and probably will one-shot you. What I would recommend is actually waiting a few seconds instead of constantly spamming the spell. Okay, well, I guess that was my mistake. So yeah, what I would recommend is don't spam the spell, wait a few seconds for them to get back up and then use the spell, and then after a while, you'll eventually break their, what's it called, posture? You'll break their posture and then your magic attacks will do regular damage. I mean, as you can see, that didn't work out too well, but that's your best option for the moment, so... Alright, so yeah, maybe a better strategy is just to have your dogs take on that one, and then you just stay here to avoid the attacks, and then you will kill the first one, and then take on the second one. You could go through here to teleport back to the beginning of the dungeon, but it's a lot easier to just come on up here. And then you'll be able to teleport out once you've gotten through here. So yeah, that boss fight is a little tricky, but like I said, just take on the spear one first because he's going to be your most dangerous one. Stay behind a pillar while you're doing so in order to avoid the magic attacks from the other guy. And then just take him on when you have the chance. So in the meantime, now we're going to come back to the Abductor Virgins in the Subterranean Inquisition Chamber. And it should be a lot easier now. Hopefully you'll still have your Great Rune equipped. I lost it like an idiot because I died, but it's not particularly necessary, and you might probably lose it at some other point. We don't need that Gavel of Heim anymore. Equip Terra Magica. And obviously, if you still have your Great Rune equipped, you can continue using the Jellyfish Shield, so you'll be in a lot better shape than me. Anyway. Same strat. I mean, honestly, you can pop the flask once you get up. Activate this. Make sure you avoid that. Get up here. My bad. Yeah, if you stay enough by the edge, he'll actually come close, and then that's what you want, because then he'll be trying to touch you as opposed to attack you. And then obviously you can kill him very quickly if you have Terra Magica. This guy can't do anything, so keep that in mind. Now you could just run on through. And of course, if you have the Great Rune equipped, and especially if you have the Jellyfish Shield, even when the one guy decides to throw his axes at you, you can just block it or survive it anyway. Now use that those extra runes to level up a bit. You can keep your intelligence the same, but and don't bother increasing your vigor at this point, because I'm pretty sure the next boss is able to just one-shot you anyway. Oh, and I can barely level up. Okay. I'll just increase my intelligence, even though it's like nothing. And then once we get out here, we can just go through here, hop on down, get to that Grace. Although I'm not gonna bother, you know, maybe I'll activate it. There's a boss right through here called a Tibba Mariner. It's basically just a homeless man on a boat, so I don't see why there's a reason to put him out of his misery. Right through here is another little tree. Or maybe it's a little yeah, there we go. A little tree to get a golden seed. And obviously at this point you can use your stone sword keys for anything you want whenever you get them. I'd always recommend saving, one or two on hand for when you want to get the Mimic tier, which is the absolute best spirit summon that you can get in the game. You'll get that later on after you kill Radon, which is another main boss, and then you'll gain access to a place called Nokron, the Eternal City. But as for now, you know, just keep on running or riding the horse. And essentially we're at our we're on our last boss. He's not exactly here, but once we get to the next boss, it's gonna be our last, and then we'll have the build officially. Maybe you can magma worms, I would say, are the perfect enemies to test the boss or test the build against. So, you know, maybe you should come back here once the build is all done and then rip them apart. You could also grab some extra runes here. Let's see, what kind do they have? I mean, these are pretty decent. Anyways, they'll just keep on going. There's gonna be a bear that decides to hop on down somewhere. You don't want to fight the bear. But anyways, you know, just run on through here. There's a grace site right there, but I'm not gonna bother picking it up because there's another grace site that's really close. And I'm sure you'll recognize this place because this is where I started part 1 of my early build guide. Nice lady right here. And Master Azur. Yes. So yeah, you could talk to Master Azur for the spell and the grace. If I can open up my map. The grace is called Primeval Sorcerer Azur. Just so you don't forget. Just ignore that guy. And then just hop up. If you accidentally die to him, there's a Stake America. But anyways, you're just gonna want to come up the ladder. These ladders are long. So be wary of that. I think there's, what, 3 ladders? This is the first one, then there's another one. And then there's another one.
Welcome, dear customer.
I forget, he sells something. Yeah, he sells a stone sword key. If you want one. And so yeah, I think this is the last ladder. So what you're gonna want to do is activate the horse, hop on through here, just hop on down. Now I should be able to level up once again at this grace. And then add a charge to a flask. At this point, leveling up is much slower, as you can tell. But also at this point, we've gotten all the level ups we need for the build to work, so... But of course, with the build, you can rip apart any bosses you come across, especially in the early game. So don't worry about not having enough souls or runes. Another golden seed right here. And now there's a map right here, but be careful. I'd honestly recommend getting out of his way, and then you can grab the map. Activate the grace site. And now, fair warning, this is essentially the end of the guide, because this is the last boss, and then we can get that hidden crystal tier that gives us access to infinite FP for, I believe, 15 seconds. A very difficult boss, though, so be wary of that. First, we pop this, and then we're going to activate Rock Sling as he's coming to us, because he'll do a roar attack, and then he'll lunge at you, so you want to start out, and then you can always just stay here, and then just spam hits at him. And always remember, you never want to be facing him, you just want to be sideways like this, so you can actually get away from him in time. This is a perfect spot because he can't get through, and you can actually hit through. But, like I said, he can and probably will one-shot you. So you want to pop 2, maybe 3. So I'd recommend pop 2 of the spell. I just had to get greedy, didn't I? Okay, whatever. But always you want to pop 1 of the spell as you're getting him to follow you around. And if you ever get a good angle, because remember, you can actually shoot through here. And he can't. I mean, he can't really. Whenever he does that, you know, stay away from him. The thing I love about this fight is he can actually just randomly lose aggro to you, which is nice. So it's always nice when that happens. This is a perfect angle because it'll just be making your spell go through. And then when he does that, you want to, of course, get out of his way. I'm dead. Oh, wow, okay. Always remember, keep yourself on the other side. Another great thing is you can actually just go straight through that barrier, and now we have defeated him. So yeah, definitely use this. Remember strategy, start out with 2 hits. Don't get greedy and do 3. Start out with 2 hits and then just stay right here and start firing at him. He'll lose aggro. Like he loses aggro at least half the time. So you can get some other great hits on him. And now you've essentially, or officially, gotten the build together. Time to test it out. Obviously, if you don't have enough levels by now, you can just level up. But of course, I'm going to be using my remainder of runes to buy some extra, what's it called? Rune arcs, yeah. At this point, that's what I would recommend most of you do, because when you think about it, 5 level ups would cost you, what, 40,000 runes? And then you just need 4,000 to get 1 rune arc, which is perfect. And of course, you can buy the memory stone and other stone sword keys. I just want to get rid of that, and then primeval sorcerers or and okay, wait, yeah, so you want to talk to him first, obviously get the spell. And don't worry, he takes a few seconds. That's normal. And you can actually come back to him for his armor to deal some extra damage with the spell specifically, through a quest with Selene. And so yeah, Common Dessert takes up a little bit, so that's why you want to have as many slots as you can. But really all you need is just Common Dessert and Terra Magica for the build in particular. And then for the build to work, you're going to want to mix Wondrous Physic. You kind of need the intelligence, but once you don't anymore, you can get rid of it. And then Cerulean Hintir. Once you don't need the intelligence, that's when most people replace it with Magic Shrouding. Crystal Tear, as usual. Pop the Rune Arc. And then hopefully I'll do a much better job here than when I first started. So, Terra Magica. Jellyfish Shield. Perfect. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of your
Hey!
day ripping through the rest of Elden Ring.